Have you got lots of paper scraps laying around? Well, today we are going to create 2 amazing cards using up those paper scraps. Guys, these cards are perfect for any level of crafter. I am so excited to teach you these and start getting those scraps and putting them to work. Hello, everybody. It's Connie Stewart with SimplySimpleStamping.com. I am so excited to create these cards and help you use up those scraps. Let's head over to my stamping table and get to creating. My scraps were getting out of control, so I was excited to create these cards. I've got one for the guys and one for the girls. We're going to start with the masculine card, and really the card, it's all about color choices. These colors are actually from my color inspiration that I share every Monday. We've got some Shy Shamrock, some Cajun Craze, and some Blackberry Bliss. You can see we've got more of those little scraps on the inside. Friends, these cards are super easy. Let me show you what we need to do to create. Remember, there's never a need to write down any of the measurements because I do that for you. I've got this free download that'll have the supply list, the measurements, photos, so you can go back and recreate the cards. And in fact, if you need to come back and watch the video again, you can either click or scan the QR code. And friends, if you are in the United States, I would love to be your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and you will find this free download and a place to order at SimplySimpleStamping.com, or look down in the YouTube description. I've got a direct link. With that, let's go over the measurements for our first card. My card base is Cajun Craze, and I have it cut at 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2, so that will fit in a medium-sized envelope. 2 pieces of Very Vanilla, 4 by 5 1/4. And now, of course, our scraps. So I have chosen 2 pieces. These are 1 1/4 by 1 1/4. These pieces here are 3/4 by 3/4. And again, you can see I have 2 of each size in my 3 colors: Blackberry Bliss, Shy Shamrock, and Cajun Craze. Now you'll notice here on my card, I did some embossing on each of these squares because I wanted to step it up a notch. For my first card, I decided to use 3 different embossing folders. Again, it was a masculine card, so I chose some kind of masculine embossing folders. So I've got the fern, I have timber, and I have exposed brick. Now, friends, you can use whatever embossing folders you have. I just thought these really lent themselves to masculine card really well. So I'm going to start with my fern. And of course, what goes better with fern than my Shy Shamrock? I'm going to put my 4 little squares, 1 1/4 by 1 1/4, 3/4 by 3/4. There's really no right or wrong in this one. I'm going to run that through my embossing machine. Next, I'm going to take the exposed brick, and for that, I'm going to do my Blackberry Bliss. So we'll take those 4 squares, and we'll run that through an embossing folder. And yes, you guessed it, in my timber, I will do the same thing with my Cajun Craze. And through the magic of television, I have that done for you. I'm going to start with one of my Very Vanilla. Remember, that was a 4 by 5 1/4. I find multi-purpose glue is my best bet for this card. So I'm going to start with one of the Shy Shamrocks. I'm going to be honest, doesn't matter which one you start with, but I decided I was going to start with that one. I'm going to put some multi-purpose glue on there. I'm going to start down here in the bottom left corner, and I just want to make sure point to point are touching that Very Vanilla. All right, you want to kind of make sure you've got a nice little point, little triangle down here. So we're going to do that. Next, I'm going to take a Cajun Craze. The multi-purpose glue just gives me really a great ability to kind of move these around as I line them up. I'm just going to butt those 2 right up against each other. Now I will come in with a Blackberry Bliss. I really love this color combination. I think it's so nice. Now for this one, I'm going to bring this one right here next to the Cajun Craze. And I'd kind of hoped it would touch that Very Vanilla, so I'm going to scooch it just a little bit. And then that's why I said this is what's really nice with the multi-purpose glue. I've got a little bit of wiggle room. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead, you can decide on your pattern. In fact, you might even want to decide your pattern, lay it all out before you start to glue. But I'm going to put another Cajun craze there. I kind of like the two Cajun craze sort of touching each other right there. And back in with Shy Shamrock. And I'm going to line those up. And because those are 1 1/4 by 1 1/4, it fit perfect, right? Okay, now you notice I have one left over. Well, we're actually going to cut this in half, and you can do that with scissors. You can also do it with your paper trimmer, whichever is easiest for you. We are going to put adhesive here, and this is going to polish off the edge of our card. See how we did that? I'm going to put the other one here on the other end. And look at that. It just pieced together so nice. I'm going to do a quick stamping on this card with a Blackberry Bliss ink pad. And I'm going to use the Simply Said stamp set. I decided this would be a birthday card. And of course you can make it whatever kind of card you want, but birthday wishes fit perfect in there. I'm going to set this aside for just a minute because I'm going to bring in the other piece of the Very Vanilla. Again, it was the exact same size. That was the 4 by 5 1/4. And now we're going to work with these little squares. I'm going to start with the Shy Shamrock again. And this time we're going to go down the left-hand side. So remember how we did it here and how I lined up that very first Shy Shamrock? We're going to do that again. I just kind of like to eyeball it, and I want to have a really nice, perfect triangle right there. And I tend to be able to get everything adhered down nicely if I'll do that. I'm going to take my second piece of Shy Shamrock, my second little square, and we'll add that up here in the corner. All right, next I'll do Blackberry Bliss. Again, there's really no right or wrong, but I'm going to put my next Blackberry Bliss, and I'm going to line point to point. And when I do that, I want to make sure I'm touching the edge of the cardstock. We'll do our next one. I like to just work my way in. So we'll add this one right here. And of course, we'll take our Cajun craze. Yes, we do have 2 of them. That's going to happen. One color, you're going to have an extra. And you know what? You might have noticed. Do you see that one? Not quite as square as I would like it. So I'm kind of glad I got a backup because I'm not going to use that one. We'll add our last little 3/4 inch square right there. All right, beautiful. Back in with the Blackberry Bliss. And let's tell the men in our lives to celebrate. I'm going to add this to the inside of the card. And then I've got a little trick because it is Tuesday Tips. So I love to give you guys little tips on Tuesdays. So let me show you what we're going to do with this one. Do you save your borders from your Stampin' Dimensionals? I love to use these, especially in a card like this where I've got a large piece of cardstock that I want to add all around my card. So here's my trick. You notice how I just snipped, right? I'm going to take the longest edge and I'm going to add it right here. Let's take the other one and I'm going to add it down here. You notice the jaggedy edges. I want those to the inside because I want the little edge there on the outside to look nice. I'm going to take another one of my short pieces and it will fit right there. And my remaining short piece, and you notice we did have to stretch this because this is quite a bit smaller, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and add this one all the way over to one side. Now I can come in with some Stampin' Dimensionals, get a couple there to kind of fill in. I'm going to add about 3 down the middle because I don't want it to get saggy. We'll remove all of these backings just like so. And now we were able to use those scraps. I thought, hey, I'm using scraps on the front. We're going to use some scraps of Stampin' Dimensionals. What a simple card. And I hope you can see all the different textures going on those squares. You know, those squares don't have to be boring. And by the way, this little tip will work great with designer series paper as well. And did you know you could even emboss that designer series paper? So if you've got some masculine designer series paper, this would work great for that. All right, friends, I'm going to go ahead and teach you just a couple tricks on the other card. Don't forget to grab your free download that goes along with today's video. So when you're ready to grab your scraps and recreate, you'll have everything you need right here. Friends, you'll find that free download at simplysimplestamping.com, or if you look in the YouTube description, I've got a direct link for you. But I got to tell you, it's going to be put together in the same way. I just went and I turned my card landscape instead of portrait. So either way you want the card to go, all right? It's all good. I decided to make just a quick thank you card featuring the My Small Business stamp set. Now, I gotta tell you, even if you don't own a small business, this is a really great stamp set. We've got lots of thanks. And your support deserves a big thanks. I mean, you can think of a lot of reasons you could use this stamp set, but I wanted to point it out because it might be easy for you to look past if you didn't have a business. I loved this thank you. I stamped that in crumb cake, but what I want to show you is what I did here. So my colors, my card base is Lemon Lolly, 5.5 by 8.5, and scored at 4 1/4. My squares, the exact same size. So I had 2 in Petal Pink, 2 in Bubble Bath, and 2 in Lemon Lolly. Same thing here on the inside, 2, 2, and 2, and those were the 3/4 by 3/4. This time, instead of 3 different embossing folders, I chose just one, and I chose Eyelet. A little tip when you're working with this one. So let me show you here with the Petal Pink. Now I'm going to take my card base and tuck it underneath here just to kind of help me see the images there in my embossing folder. Because what I want to do is I want to line these up so that when it embosses, I want to try to get a focal image where everything is nice and straight. Now, if that's just not your cup of tea, not a problem. Choose an embossing folder that's very random, like I did on the first card. Those didn't have like a set pattern and I could just throw them into the embossing folder and go. But this one, I really like to get them lined up. So you can use like the dots that are there inside. And can you see when I use those, I can get those lined up. And then on the little squares, I want to get just one of these. All right, just one of the little eyelets. And I can do that. Well, I know those moved on me, but that way you can run those through and get those really nice. And of course, friends, you're going to put that card together in the exact same way. So again, I laid my cardstock, my very vanilla, in the portrait position, and I started with the Petal Pink and just work your way up, and then you can see I cut the Lemon Lolly there in the middle. Friends, they are such easy cards. Oh my gosh. But you know what? We don't want those scraps accumulating, right? We just don't want that. And these cards are going to be able to create some unbelievable color combinations. I told you this one came from my color inspirations, and you can get on that email list to get my color inspirations every single Monday, and you'll never run out of ideas for colors. So head over to simplysimplestamping.com and you will see the pop-up where you can sign up for my newsletter, and that's where you will get those. Friends, I'd love to have you. All right, go create some fabulous cards. Don't let those scraps accumulate. I know you can create something amazing. I hope you enjoyed the video today. Hey, if you did, I would love a thumbs up on YouTube. And if you haven't subscribed, just click that subscribe button, ring the bell, and YouTube will let you know whenever I'm back with a new video. I'd love to have you join in. Thank you, everyone, for being here, and I look forward to stamping with you next time. Bye-bye.